Welcome back. It is a beautiful morning outside. I'm on the weather deck right now. And you know, it's Memorial Day weekend. So many people are going to be camping and hiking. For many, it's kind of the kickoff to the summer season. But when you head out into the beautiful mountains here in Colorado, you've got to pack appropriately. And we're not talking about hot dogs. We're not talking about bringing enough water. We're talking about bringing the proper first aid items with you. Dr. Michelle Chapin from Greenwood Pediatrics is here. Good morning. Thank you for coming in. So there are a lot of things that people may bring. Maybe you have a couple of Band-Aids thrown in your backpack that you just sort of leave in there.
Right.
But it goes above and beyond that, doesn't it?
It does, and particularly when we're thinking about kids. And what I brought today really is meant to focus on what do we need to bring for kids. So there's a couple of things to think about. First off, if anybody in the family has any underlying medical conditions, then we got to think about that. If your kid's ever been prescribed an inhaler or an EpiPen, you got to bring those things.
Well, a lot of parents will say, well, we're only going to be gone for 2 or 3 hours.
Right, but you know what? If you get stung or somebody accidentally eats something with a peanut in it in those 2 or 3 hours, you want to have the stuff with you.
Because it does happen. And this stuff isn't necessarily specialized, but normal antihistamines, things like that?
Absolutely. So what I've got here, I like to label things. So we've got 3 bags, and we've unpacked the bags. If we start over here with the allergies, since we're talking about it, we've got some antihistamine here. This is plain old over-the-counter Benadryl. I like to write down the dosing for each kid on the box. And so if you go to our website at greenwoodpediatrics.com, we have over-the-counter medication dosing that's weight-based for children. It's easy to find it, and if you write it down on the package,
your website you have that?
on the website.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm bookmarking that today.
All right.
Because I could never figure it out. But I know what you're saying. You write it down in the box so you don't have to try to figure it out when you're up in the mountains.
And when something's happening and everybody's blood pressure's going a little bit high. We've got EpiPens. Everyone does not need to carry an EpiPen, but boy, if somebody needs one, then you need one. So that's important to have.
What would something like this, an antihistamine, what would you use that for?
So if somebody is having an allergic reaction, whether it's just seasonal allergy kinds of things, itchy nose, itchy eyes, or if they get lots of insect bites and they're itching all over, it'll help with itch.
And skin stuff, like I said, Band-Aids, I think that's about the only first aid item that everyone does always remember to bring.
Absolutely. And if your child has a particular affinity for Band-Aids with a certain character on it, bring the character because it helps with the magic powers of Band-Aids. We've got a couple of gauze pads for things that are just a little bigger than Band-Aids are cover. This right here is actually something called Moleskin, which is great for blisters, but actually for blister prevention. So this is one of the first things we teach kids is if your feet start to bother you, you need to tell me right away and stop. Sometimes it's just a wrinkled sock that needs to get fixed, but if there's a hot spot on there, something that's going to be a blister, covering it with Moleskin helps a lot.
See, my kids always tell me. Always, always, always. I hear about everything that's bugging them, which is okay because I'd rather know than not know. Some hydrocortisone cream, I mean, the typical things that you have in your medicine cabinet, you just don't always bring it with you.
That's right. So we've got that. We've got a little antibiotic ointment. The green stuff here is aloe gel, and that's really good for burns. So sunburns, of course, you want to be really careful if you've got kids around a campfire or a gas stove, but if you've got a burn, that's at least a good first step. We've got some good tweezers here. We've got some nail clippers, because if you've got a hangnail, that gets really annoying unless you can fix it, right? And scissors, which I've just wrapped with tape so that nobody gets pulling them out of the bag.
That's because you're smarter than I am. I would never think to do that, but it makes sense. So what do we got here? Saline nasal spray?
So the saline it's useful for nasal spray, especially for really young children and infants. But the other thing it's really great for is if somebody gets something in their eye. So as long as you're not actually putting it in the baby's nose, if you just spray from a little bit of a distance, keep it clean. You can also use it to clean out eyes. The Afrin is here because if you've got a nosebleed, right, the best thing to do is to just pinch the fleshy part of your nose. But if that's really stubborn, a squirt of Afrin will help a lot.
Well, we're out of time, but I have to ask you why there's jelly beans here.
There are jelly beans here because of the trail bunny. This is not strictly part of the first aid kit. However, if you're hiking with kids, and this is for kids who are, there they go, kids who are at least 3 or 4, so they're not going to choke on a jelly bean. When they start getting a little tired, a little whiny,
a little sugar.
Well, one parent goes ahead to look for signs of the trail bunny who leaves jelly beans on the trail for good hikers.
Doctor, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate it from Greenwood Pediatrics. Again, go to our website, kdvr.com, because we also have some items you should bring if you're taking your pet with you. You got to think about first aid for your pet. That's online right now at kdvr.com. Back to you guys.
I don't think that Tom's old enough to have those jelly beans, by the way, although he does get whiny.